At this time, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Nashville Town Council to order. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Father, we invite you into our meeting tonight to help us to make the right decisions for all the citizens of Nashville. Amen.
Amen.
The first item on our agenda tonight is the approval of our minutes for November the 15th, 2022. That was a call meeting, a work session. Did anyone have any corrections to those minutes?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
The next item is the November 15th meeting, the regular meeting minutes. Any corrections to those? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
So made.
Minutes approved.
You didn't get a second.
Did I get a second? I thought I heard a second. Okay, minutes are seconded by Lynn. The minutes, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved.
It's hot.
It is time for our 3-minute time limit for our speakers. First, we have James Baker come to the podium and state your name and your address, please.
My name is James Baker. I reside at 103 East Green Street. I just wanted to bring it to the attention that on, it was about the second week in September, I was spoken to a gentleman that was walking down on Austin by my house, and I asked him, he says they were getting ready, I guess, to start on the sidewalk project. And I told him at that time that I was going to be leaving to go out of town. And I said, well, how about my driveway with the cars getting in and out? He says, well, we'll let you know. That way, you have to pull your cars out on onto Green. So I was assuming they were going to start off on Austin. But as I've come to find out later on, Austin didn't never get done. But they started work on Green Street when I was away, and Joseph, which stays with me, called and informed me that there was a real big mess out front. I mean, I knew they were going to do some digging, but they dug and they left all on my sidewalk, all on Green Street. It's just a complete mess. I mean, the grading is terrible. It's all uneven. My sprinkler heads, what was not broken was covered up. And like I said, now, between that and then the incident that happened with the cable fiber optic that was being brought down on that Friday, I think I have the date. I'm not too sure the date. I got it wrote down, but it was, give me just a second.
I think it was November the 21st.
November the 21st, the first incident was when the gas leak. The guys were down there, and I knew they started before they hit the gas leak that day. I walked to the gentleman because they had started digging in my yard. I said, gentlemen, I said, please be careful. I have got an irrigation system. They just looked at me and just said, me dig hole, me dig hole. Me don't speak English. And and they're just like, okay. So I looked on down the end of the street down where Green and Collins, where they were working. I walked down there to try to attempt to talk to somebody who was in charge. And there was one gentleman, but he could barely talk any English as well. I said, I'm going to tell you. I said, my irrigation system is down there, and I mean, they're digging like the China. And so I come back home, and it won't but shortly later, that's when I guess they hit the gas line, and that was on a Friday. I think it was about 2 or 2:30. And you know how it is over there around that school when kids are trying to get out. Now we got a gas leak. And then the other incident happened on that following Tuesday, which was just a couple of days later. It was about, I say it was about near 3:45. And I was out there in the yard, so I was attempting to try to wake up some of those leaves that are falling around that huge 80-foot oak tree I have in my front yard. And I looked out there again. The guys were in the hole now. They had dug 4 different holes over there. And one guy was in it, and he was already waist deep into the hole. I knew, I done warned them about. I have water lines there. Sure enough, it won't but 5 minutes later, this big eruption, boof. I go, holy smoke, water was going everywhere. and these guys were just all standing in the line, and this water's gushing up, and I'm looking, because when they hit the water main in the center, I guess they were trying to run the cable optic from one side of the road over to the other. They hit the main water line in the road, and of course it was on the right side, which the water comes shooting back up towards my house. It went up underneath the sidewalk, and I had water going everywhere. And all I kept thinking about, I had that large oak tree, and I was wondering if it was going to, because I could see the dirt being eroded, and it was going all down Green Street. And I was just worried, oh my God, what happens if it, gets to my root system of that large tree? Well, again, those guys, all they could do, I said, is someone going to call or do something? No, 10 minutes went by. And I had to take, because all they were doing was standing around laughing.
Well,
And
your time's up, James. Thank you for letting. Did you get any response or did any help? Did anybody end up helping you out?
No, but like I'm just saying, I had to make the initial phone call to the town hall to inform them about this, and also told them they need to get someone out there to shut the road down, because people could see there was a river going on out there, and they need to get somebody on out there to do something about it. But I can tell you that the gentlemen that come from our public works, Mr. Lanson, they are top-notch guys. I'm going to tell you something. They really need to be commended, because those guys, I know it was getting close for them to getting off of work and all, but like I'm saying, I'm telling you, they did a fantastic job, and they need to really be commended for that. I'm telling you, that is a good group of men, I'm telling you. And I'm telling you, I hope to God, and I know, Miss Brenda, this is not negative. These gentlemen, the people from the front office and everyone, give a little praise. Praising does not cost nothing. Because I'm telling you, when you're in the business, I'm going to tell you, when you have employee turnover, it can be very costly. And it helps build morale. That's all I have to say.
Thank you,
Mhm.
James. The next on the,
Can I just submit these pictures here real quick?
Sure. Kenneth Muhammad, come up and to the podium and give us your address. Is he here?
Yes, I actually signed that by mistake. I'm on the program.
Okay, that's fine.
Mayor, before we go any place else, the gentleman just sit down.
James.
James, I'm sorry. Taranda, do we have any of our maintenance guys that are not necessarily following those guys, but, and I can understand what he's saying, if you go out there and nobody can speak English, and we need to get the word across to somebody else, are our guys somewhere close or checking behind them when they finish to make sure the yards are not torn completely up, or we ain't got a water leak left there and they don't feel it out? 'Cause you and I were riding together, they're digging, they can out dig a backhoe, I think, the way they digging these holes. But I think we need to kind of tag along behind them a little bit to make sure there's somebody around that can communicate with the residents. It's disheartening when you go out there and you talk to them.
The morning they were coming to Alston Street Cloudwise, my husband stopped them and said, "I don't want you doing any work until I speak with your manager." And within 5 minutes, someone did come and speak with him. That was fluent speaking in English, understood what our issues were, promised that everything would be cleaned up afterwards, and they really didn't touch our property. They went, waist deep into the sewer hole and made their way down, and there were a few spots, but everything was strawed and everything after. So I know there is somebody with Cloudwise, and I'm sure there's a protocol that they have, because we've had several calls to the office when things go wrong. But as far as us following behind, I don't know that that's the case.
Randy, at the November meeting, in council comments, I mentioned that I had received a lot of complaints about Cloudwise, and you indicated that they were going to put door hangers around town to indicate when they were coming. That has not been done.
Yeah, I tried reaching out to them again today to see where they were with the process of the door hangers, and I wasn't able to get hold of either of the Chris's. The two Chris's with the B1 fiber, they are the contractor for Cloudwise that's installing the system. So I hope to hear from them first thing in the morning. I left them both messages, because both of them told me that they were going to begin, deploying the door hangers in the neighborhoods that they're going to be going to a day or two before they get there. But I don't believe they've begun doing that yet.
And it's
I will say I do check them every single day.
Taylor, could please come to the podium?
I do talk to the contractors every single day. I'll call them 3 or 4 times a day, seeing where they're at, checking locations, and I even go by, if I don't see them spotting something, I'll call the main ones at V1 Fiber, Gary, Garrett, Josh, Chris, whoever I need to let them know, look, these contractors are not spotting. And I have myself or whoever's able to, we go by 3 or 4 times a day, and I at least ride around 3 or 4 times a day, seeing where they're working at to make sure they are spotting. So, and I mean, I will say sometimes it's, like you said, it's hard for them to understand, so it's kind of a language barrier there, but we try our best to keep in contact with them as much as we can, so.
Thank you, Taylor.
And that's all we can really expect, because he can't be with them all 24/7 all
He's not on
during the
their
day.
payroll.
He's not on their payroll. He's got other things he's got to do. So if he's checking 2 or 3 times a day, that's about the best we can ask,
Right.
and hope that they correct themselves when they make mess
But
ups
when,
like
when
that.
we invite people into our town to do work like that, we need to protect our citizens. And I feel like it's been, slack.
You know, it is a very large project that they've undertaken. They want to put in a complete underground fiber optic system in Nashville in 4 to 5 months. And when they announced that, Taylor can attest to, Lee and I and Taylor, we were all thinking the same thing. There's no way we're going to be able to keep up with all the locates. And they heard us say that, and they've made provisions. They have contracted with 2 of our former employees who know where our water and sewer and storm sewer is as consultants that are leading people that they've hired to locate our facilities. Unfortunately, our facilities of water especially, most of our mains are, you can't locate them. They're either plastic mains with no tracer wire, or the older ductile iron, and the tracer signals don't carry through the joints very well. Sewer's a little better because you can line up the manholes and know that they run in a straight line from manhole to manhole. But it's extremely difficult with our system to be able to accurately locate it. They have gone out of their way to bring in a ground penetrating radar unit that they've been using. And what that does is, easiest to explain, it x-rays the ground and it can tell if there's a trench. And if there's a trench near where we say the water line should be, it's been proving to be very effective in saying where that water line is. But we knew when they began that they were going to hit things. It's impossible to put the system in as quickly as they are without hitting something. They did have a contractor early on, a subcontractor, that was not spotting. They were just missiling and directional boring, basically blind. And they lasted here about a week, caused 3 water breaks in a week and a half, and Cloudwise and V1 Fiber gave them the boot out of town. But, I know it's inconvenient when things get hit. It's not intentional. You get into their supervisor ranks, and they're very helpful in helping us do what we need to do to get the water turned off so we can get it fixed and turned back on. I guess I'm not really sure what more we can do.
Thank you.
Pete.
There's just one small comment. The road out front was a large hole, and I know it's just temporary, but it has been filled in with dirt. And we all know that there's a lot of school buses that's going up and down there, and that road is busting all up. It's a large hole.
Thanks for letting us know. The next person is J.T. Winston. Chief Winston. And did you get that?
Good evening.
Okay.
Didn't have time to get on the agenda for the night. Something just come up yesterday, so I just wanted to bring a thought to put in y'all's mind that maybe we could come at a later time and have a conversation about. But there may possibly be a potential to moving forward after the first year for a SRO position at Nashville Elementary, and just wanted to bring it before y'all and kind of explain, if you had any questions what an SRO was. If it was to come to fruition for Nashville, we would have a SRO program / a community officer, which means they would do dual roles, as many extra benefits and parades and everything else that we have in town. They would run that in coalition with being a school resource officer. So this is just a very brief breakdown of what a SRO does and what they're responsible for. Most people know anyway. But I did just want to bring this to the forethought of y'all so y'all could have something to think about. And if we have any questions at a later date.
Chief, there used to be some grant monies available to help fund these, at least initially. Or is there anything out there like that now?
Potentially, Governor Cooper allocated some money to the school board, and they have money available. Don't know exactly the total totality of that right now. Like I said, I was just given some information yesterday evening, followed up on it this morning, and wanted to bring it to y'all's attention today. So,
Thank you for doing that.
yes, ma'am.
Appreciate it. The next person on the comment sheet is Virginia Bazinski.
Good evening. Virginia Budzinski, 400 East Church Street. I have just 3 questions / comments in regards to the trash and the recycling. The first one is, what are the acceptable items that are to be put in the green containers? We've had numerous times where it seems like they've opened up the container, looked in it, and they're non-toxic. For example, it was just our Halloween pumpkins. We couldn't get anybody to pick them up or take them to any farms, so my husband put them in the green container. They were taken out and just left on the grass, and the rest of the trash was taken. So that would be one thing. They're just, and then some small branches that were never picked up from the street. He just put them inside there, so those weren't picked up either. Number 2, about the recycling. There's been a lot of talk on the local news, and we're wondering if the state of North Carolina and if the town of Nashville is aware that they're saying that 95% of recyclables are not recycled. We're being charged for recyclables. We do separate ours at our house, and we make sure that we, pay attention to what's going in there. And we just want to make sure that for the residents that the things that we are being charged for the recyclables, that they are truly being recycled, because it doesn't sound that way when you watch the big, the news channels from Raleigh. The third thing is there a plan for items such as paint or toxic items that can't be put in the trash, since some of us can't use the dump anymore? Is there going to be like a community collection thing, like in the spring? Is there a plan for that where we can, because when we moved in, there was a ton of old paint that was left, and some of the cans are half full, and to try to put kitty litter and dry them up is just, we want to know what we can do with that safely.
And Virginia, I don't know, but we'll find out for you. Is
Thank
that
you.
fair enough?
Thank you.
Randy, did you get the questions down for Virginia? Thank you,
I
Virginia.
sure do, yes.
And Tony,
And Randy let me know as well about those paint cans,
I know.
'cause I've got some too.
State your name and address.
Tony Koenig, 708 Westview Court, Nashville. I want to talk about that dreaded word, snow, coming up in that season again. And fortunately, we haven't had a large snowstorm in quite some time. But the problem is, when we do get a large snowstorm, we have quite a few state roads going through town, major roads. And not knocking DOT, because before this first snowflake hits the ground, and I work for DOT,
They know you speaking like this?
yep. Before the first snowflake hits the ground, we're already behind in personnel and behind in equipment. Like everybody else, that's just how it is. And the way the system's set up, DOT's top priority is 95, 64, 264. Nashville's sort of when we can get to it. It's like the second priority. Well, the snowstorm's not too big, it's no big deal. You may get to it in 6 hours. The longer the snowstorm, the longer it's going to get to Nashville. It could be 24 hours. Who knows how big that snowstorm is, like the one we had maybe 15 years ago. I'm not sure the state even got into Nashville. Meanwhile, Nashville has a mess. And, you go through that freeze-thaw cycle, it just gets worse. Perfect example is Western Avenue. Primary route for the fire department, get out to 64, primary route for the EMS to get into town. And I can tell you right off the bat, Western Avenue is a mess before it gets plowed, those hills. So I'm wondering if maybe the town could cut a deal with the state. We will agree as a town to plow the state roads within town, let them reimburse us for it. Maybe we can get a plow for them, maybe a truck or something. Then it'll get done as soon as humanly possible. We don't have to wait to 24 hours or 6 hours, whatever it is. We can take care of ourselves. I know last time snowstorm we had, I think somebody was plowing some of the back roads and looked pretty good. But the main roads then weren't that bad. The storm wasn't that bad. But if we get a big snowstorm, we're going to be in trouble. We can't always rely on the state. Because like I say, working for the state, I know we have problems. We're short, equipment's short, and that's if the equipment doesn't break down. Then you got a bigger problem. So maybe we need to think about cutting the deal. We'll plow our state roads within town. We take care of Alston Street, First Street, Eastern Avenue, Western Avenue, and 58, and down there by McDonald's to get, well, that's 58 and 64, especially around the Food Line area. Because one year, that never got done, and it was a mess down there for quite a while. But either way, Western Avenue needs to be taken care of, because that's a major route for the emergency vehicles. And the state don't go through there, well, it's not going to get done. But I just think that's something maybe the town may think about. Let's bring it in-house and plow our own roads and take care of ourselves, make ourselves self-efficient, and stop worrying about the state.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts, Tony. We appreciate it. And that's all that have signed up to have comments tonight. So let's move on to our agenda. Mr. Faithful, are your people here yet, your witnesses?
Got one witness here, another should be here within the next 15 minutes.
I'll just move you up. Is it okay if I just, okay, that'll be fine. I'll move. The next item on our agenda is the request for an access easement. Randy?
So we received a request from the Muhammad family to see if the town would be willing to give an easement on a small portion of Glover Park so that they could access their 20 acres of property near Glover Park. And I do believe the Muhammads are here this evening to speak to that request. So if you would call them to the podium.
Okay.
Kenneth?
And please state your name and address.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Kenneth Muhammad. Address currently is 929 Arlington Street, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. To the town of Nashville, I, Kenneth Muhammad, on behalf of Pender Ray Muhammad and now Ray Wilkins, respectfully request an audience for an access easement on the southwest corner of Glover Park to Glover Park Memorial Drive. This request access easement shall be approximately 25 feet in length and 45 feet in width. That is, and I emailed the town manager an actual drawing that the builders next to our property suggested, because we've been working with him trying to get a permanent easement, but he can only give us a temporary easement, which doesn't work for a building permit. So he suggested this to request it from the town on the southwest corner of Glover Park.
Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Muhammad?
Why could Cardinal Woods not provide that easement?
I guess what I was told by Bob Mishler is that they've already parceled that property for a building lot, and to give an easement across it, they would have to give up that building lot.
Right.
Well, we would have to give up our park.
No, you wouldn't have to give up the park, just the corner of it.
Portion of it.
Yeah, it's a very small portion of it, where there's trees. I think it's maybe like 13 trees, not even 15 feet high, and I think something like a Frisbee type
Disc golf.
podium there.
They have disc golf over there, and then it also runs right into where our walking trail is.
Yeah.
Correct. Well, if you, like I said, we don't have to even touch that if we can just do the tree line that's right there. because that's right next to Bob Mishler, but it's considered the town of Nashville property. It's a part of the park, but it's just trees there.
Randy, have you shared with Mr. Muhammad some of the options that, if the board were to approve getting rid of part of that easement right to him, what we would expect from him? Have you shared those with him?
I have not. Kenneth, what I had suggested, staff talked about the requests that you have, and right now, we already have a problem with people who use the basketball courts now wanting to leave their car in the parking lot and walk to the basketball court, so they're driving down the walking trail to get to the basketball courts. And a big concern we have with your request is that they would jump on your lane and use that to get around our billards and our dead men, so they couldn't get there. So
It's nothing but a fence can take care of that.
So the suggestion staff had for the council, if the council were inclined to entertain granting an easement, is that the Mohammeds would pay for all the surveying and legal costs to draft and record the easement, that Mohammeds would cover the cost of constructing a guardrail fence between the driveway and the park, that they be asked to voluntarily annex their property into the town of Nashville, that the town be given first option to buy the Mohammed property if it ever comes up for sale, and that the town be paid a significant sum of money for the easement. Now, one thing we did discover, staff, Glover Park was built with either a land or water conservation fund or a Part F grant, and I'm not sure if we can encumber a Part F asset or facility with an easement. We'll have to check into that. Coy and I were just talking about that shortly before this meeting. It's one of the things that came up with our meeting with Resource Services last week, Mayor, when we met with them about the Part F application.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Fire Chief Joyner just mentioned we have a fire hydrant somewhere near where the easement access is being requested.
Any,
Mr. Muhammad, may I ask what are your future plans for that, your lot out there?
Sure, we want to keep it agriculture. We're looking at, besides living on it, we want to make it a place where people can come and just get away from the busy world. So it's something like a garden. I know I want to do muscadine vineyard there to start making the land useful land. So we got several ideas for the land.
So you want to keep it agricultural,
Yes, sir.
not residential?
No, sir.
council, what are your thoughts, or do you have any questions?
Those options that Mr. Lansing just read out, how many are you willing to agree to?
Well, I just found out about those options.
Well, that's why I brought them up. Well, do we need to just give you more time to kind of mold it over and find out?
Well, I
what's
mean,
going
I have some questions about them.
Okay.
I think one of the ones was annexing the whole 20 acres into the town of Nashville. Was one of them?
Yes.
Yes,
And what would be the purpose of annexing it?
because you're gonna be, you are covered on all sides with, town property, except for, I think, maybe the very back part. And I was gonna ride out there this afternoon.
I'm actually,
Before it
just the
got
town
dark.
property is just a park. A piece of the church, that church that's sitting there, they're the big field that's beside them actually touches our property.
Right.
And then on the backside is Richardson Court, and then the backside is Miss Lewis, and then Mishler. But the town property, the park is the only town property that's.
What we're saying is the rest of those properties are within town
Town
limits.
limits.
The rest
Oh,
of-
okay,
the rest of
okay, in
them
town limits. Okay, gotcha.
You'd be surrounded by town limit property.
So
In
we're
the middle.
already in town limit properties then, or is that, or are you
No,
saying
no,
you will
you-
want to put it in town limits?
Want to put it in town limits,
Gotcha.
because you're county property now.
Is it county property? I thought we was already in the annex.
You in the ETJ.
Right. So is that considered county or town?
It's county.
It's county.
ETJ, okay, gotcha.
It's county.
One of the other thoughts for annexing, I mean, you're gonna be using a city street, which is maintained
Gotcha.
by taxpayers of the town of Nashville. And when you use a city street to access property that's not, you kind of escape paying your fair share, so
Of
to speak,
taxes, gotcha, understood.
of the street costs.
Okay. Now, what was the other requirements that you had mentioned?
Giving the town an option to buy the property if you ever sell it, get first rights. The guardrail fence,
And removing the trees.
yeah, the trees, I mean, what you'd ask for was a 45-foot width. That does get, I mean, if you measure 45 feet from the property line into the park, that doesn't cover part of the walking trail.
Okay. I know that's the standard North Carolina easement width, that's why I put it there, but whatever,
see.
whatever size needed for us to have access to our property. I
Is
think
this,
this,
with the water issue that Chief just brought up, is this even feasible?
Chief, do you wanna step to the podium and speak about that water fire hydrant?
But you can draw into that picture, you'll see that hydrant is sitting right there, go back up to that mouse, there's your mouse again. To the right a little bit, right there is where the hydrant sits, right up in there,
Oh, yeah.
sits right in there.
So that hydrant would have to be,
There'd be a 60-foot easement going back there, how wide is that the easement have to be?
I don't know how wide an easement would have to be. I guess it's whatever, could be negotiated.
right, from what I researched, it's 30 to 45 feet.
And that's what I'm
Easement.
saying, they're gonna tie that line in going to the back, while they're off that line, and they're gonna tie it into the other side, off of Essex. So that's where the line's coming at.
Well, do you have the email that Mr. Mishler emailed of a picture of where the easement would go? Because it was his suggestion, so I'm sure with him being a developer, he took all things into consideration.
Yeah, well, what you see on the screen is about 25 feet
Okay,
wide.
okay.
Okay.
So that's what we're asking for. And again, I don't see a problem with the water main, because it's on the inside.
Any other questions or comments, council?
Mayor, I'm just thinking that this being the first opportunity Mr. Muhammad has to hear this information, maybe it might be a good idea if you and the town staff could sit down and talk about some of the details of this. I don't think I'm prepared tonight maybe to take a vote on this
Right.
matter without some of these things perhaps being talked about and ironed out.
and even if we have to just walk out there on the property itself and see physically what you're asking for. and what we can do.
Understood.
I think too, our goal for this part is to expand it, not to decrease the size. And the fact that it would be knocking into our walking trail and causing a problem, like Randy was saying, with cars going up, would you at all be willing to donate the, I guess, eastern side of your property line so that we could then do the walking trail loop back up that way and forget about the loop where your driveway would be?
So in other words, flip land.
Right, so not a huge amount,
I know,
but
I mean, that's very doable, to keep that walking trail, land for land.
And your lot is how many acres?
19.75,
Almost 20 acres.
yes, sir.
That gives us quite a bit of room to work with.
You know, when you say quite a bit of room to work with,
I mean, what she just mentioned, if you would give us a little bit, so we can
Right,
send the walking trails out. and-
absolutely. But it would be equivalent to the amount that we're requesting, is that what you're saying?
no, I'm talking about kind of the length of Glover Park. However, we would be able to dream this up to make the walking trail loop that way. But then it wouldn't even connect to the,
No, it wouldn't.
I don't know how,
See,
Yeah.
that part of that walking trail, it's a loop, all in itself, and then it goes back to the walking trail that goes around the park. So, some take that loop and some just take a left and continue around the park. It's an extra part of the
Right.
trail. It's not like the main trail to that.
Is that what makes it like a full mile or something? Is that what makes it?
Is that
I
what
think,
it is?
Proper
I
length?
think that's why they
Yeah.
did it, because I have to agree, I cut across.
So the loop helps it make it a full mile?
Make it, right.
A full
It
something.
stretches it out.
Any other questions?
Did you approach the church about an easement?
And they absolutely told me no.
No,
And Cardinal Woods has said no.
Hollywood said no. What about,
Well, before Cardinal even closed the deal, we had reached out to, what is it, Mayo?
Mail Flowers.
Mail Farms?
Right, and they never responded. We had our attorney reach out to them, and they never responded. So we've been on this for probably 2 years now.
So there is no possible way to connect in from behind Richardson Court, is it?
No, not a road anyway, because they have like a
I mean,
a
there's-
ditch and a water creek that
Okay.
whenever it rains hard, it runs through there. But as Bob Mishler said, that would be the most feasible way to get to the land. Now, even prior to this and prior to Bob Mishler's development, the farmers who've been farming this for probably 80 years now, from their dad to them, that's the way they've been accessing the land for years,
From behind the park,
from behind the park, right.
because that development wasn't back then.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So they would go where that development is, hang a right, and they'll be
Yeah.
right on that land.
So what is the desire of the council? Do you want to?
Mayor, go ahead, I'm sorry.
More time. I'm not
Yeah,
prepared
I would
to
like
make a
more
decision.
time and give Mr. Mohammed, Randy, maybe some of our public works people, to go out there and physically just look at what's there and say, you know, can we do this, or can we do this, and would you be responsible for this, and so forth. So I would say let's just table
Put
this
that
right
in the
now.
form of just a motion.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we give this more time and more forethought and get Mr. Mohammed to get with our town manager and some of the maintenance people to go out there and physically walk it off if have to, and look and see what we can come up with,
Do I hear-
if anything.
Do I-
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
out. The next item on our agenda for tonight is the industry court grubbing and clearing project. Randy?
So, as you know, the town received a Golden Leaf grant to help with the grubbing and clearing of our 15 acres that we have on Industry Court. And it appeared at the time we were awarded the grant, we might have an opportunity to expand the scope of that grubbing and clearing to include some limited grading and leveling for a future shell building out there. So we have a contract with Stocks Engineering, who put plans and specifications together, and Kevin is here this evening. If you wouldn't mind, Kevin, at some point you're going to be talking about this. And Kevin prepared the bids for this and the plans and specifications. And we got 5 bids back on the grubbing, clearing, and limited grading. So Kevin, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, sure. Mayor, council members, we did receive 5 bids for the project. The project really entailed the initial clearing and grubbing that we had planned to do. But then on top of that, we had also figured in the stripping of topsoil, grading the front lot, and using that material for the lot at the back to help flatten that out and make it a better, more usable site. So that's what this bid kind of involved. And when we got those bids back, they ranged from $315,000 up to $439,500. And right now, the low bidder is Wallet Farms at $315,000. However, we do not have that much money in the budget from Golden Leaf. So what we have done, and we're still talking about with them, is reducing back to the initial clearing and grubbing project that we had, and then moving as much dirt as we can for the amount of money that we have, knowing that whenever the county moves forward with a building project, that they would continue and finish the dirt moving for the site. Does that make sense? We're going to essentially move as much dirt as we can for the money that we have.
Sounds like we're about $84,000 short.
That's right, that's right.
So we're gonna grub and clear the front section.
Till the
We'll,
money
we'll
runs
we'll
out.
clear and grub everything. So
Clear and
all-
grub everything.
That's right.
Till the money
But what we won't do is move the dirt at the front of the site to the back to help
To the back.
flatten out that pad.
Okay.
We will move some, but not all of it to be able to get a true pad in the back for a building to build.
Will we have enough money to do
Thank you.
that?
We have enough money to clear and rub the site and to strip the topsoil, move about half the dirt. But we do not have enough to do the entire site.
the
And then
entire site.
the original site requires some off-site material to be hauled in as well to build up the pad.
Okay.
So all that will be taken out of the contract.
Okay, of the 12 acres, how much are you talking about?
We are clearing and grubbing all 12 acres.
All 12.
And I think it's like 11 and a half is what we're actually clearing, but not down towards the creek.
Now, that
But-
company didn't give an itemization like some of the other ones did to show exactly what the clearing of, and grubbing of it was versus
Right.
the topsoil. So do we know what that number is?
We know what the cleared and grubbing number is, but obviously we need to kind of work out the amount of dirt that we're going to move and make sure we're all on the same page that what they're giving us for the dollar amount makes sense.
Okay.
So
And
we're-
is it
we're
in
still
the
there.
same range as those other three companies that did itemize?
It is. They're all roughly in that $160,000 range for the initial clearing and grubbing. And that, the initial bid for that was around 143.
Okay.
So it's actually increased from 143 to 160 with this bid process, just the cost of goods.
Okay.
Council,
And if we wait, it's gonna go higher.
council, would you like to make a motion to award the, industry court grubbing and clearing and grading project to the Wallet Farm LLC at Red Oak with the cost not to exceed $230,513?
Mayor, if I may make a comment, the bid statutes of the state allow negotiation with the lowest bidder if after receiving bids, the lowest bid is above the budgeted amount or the available funds. But technically, there's no award unless the town in negotiating with the low bidder on this
So what
project
do
can
we
come
need,
to
what
terms.
does the council need to do then?
Just probably not refer to this as an award, just directing the manager to negotiate
Okay.
To move
for the
forward.
reduction of the scope of work in order to reach agreement, and then an award would be made once there is an agreement between this contractor and the town. It would probably take another meeting, but there technically would not be an award of a
Okay.
contract until.
Keep us straight.
I would
Come
offer,
together.
I offer as a motion what he just said.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the sale of our 1948 fire truck.
Oh, Lord.
So, Randy,
So we did receive an offer for the 1948 LaFrance fire truck. It's from Larry Cockrell. He's offering $1,000 for it. He has signed an agreement that he will restore the truck back to a condition that it can be operated and go in parades. He agrees to house it in Nashville, and he agrees to make it available for the annual Blooming Festival Parade and other community celebrations. And he's also agreed that if for whatever reason he should sell it in the future, he will make it, have the council or the town give us access to buy back.
Where is he housing it?
On his property on Church Street, one of his two properties.
Large vehicle like that on Church Street?
He's got family property there. I don't know what size that building is, but he's pretty certain that it'll fit into the building.
And if he does choose to sell it, can we buy it back at $1,000?
He didn't put a price on what the buyback would be.
So that's what, yeah, that was one of my questions as well. I think we need to set that right now.
Yeah, that need to be in there.
And now he is
And-
going to fix it up,
Huh?
so he is going to fix it up. He is going to make
hope
it
so.
more valuable, and it's a price that we wouldn't have had to pay.
But
But I
then-
think we should have a cap.
Yeah, but stuff like that, you may get into restoring stuff, and what you think something may cost you 2 or 3 times more than what you ventured into to begin with. And Randy, up here, if we do allow this sale to go through, he has a waiting period of 10 days. Am I to understand that is just a grace period to wait for this to close, or is that an upset bid time?
It's not an upset bid time.
Okay, okay. It's just making him wait 10 days.
And it's announcing the town's intent to sell that property. I mean, you've already passed the resolution declaring it to be excess.
We did.
And authorizing its sale by private sale or negotiation.
I had a couple of other questions. Number one, has our attorney reviewed all of this?
Yes, it
Okay.
looks fine.
For the making of available of the truck, for the Blooming Festival and any other parades, I just wanted to add in there, at no cost to the town. I don't want it to be that we all of a sudden have to rent the truck for these occasions. I wanted to know if we say sell, what if there's a passing and it's given to heirs? Or do they have to keep up their end of the agreement after it goes to any heirs of the family? And so I guess I wanted to say sell or dispose of or dispossess of in any way, so that we can kind of cover that if it's no longer he's the owner, that we have the option to buy, and then I'd love to have a cap.
Okay. You have a suggestion on that, Cal?
No.
Can we do that? I mean, Raz, can we do that?
Well,
Put a cap?
it's not an inheritable interest because it's personal property.
Right.
And not real property.
So he can't leave.
You could enter into an agreement that says those things. If this gentleman passes, whether it is enforceable or not, we'd say it's going to be problematical. Because it would be thrown into the estate property, and then the executor of the estate, might have to be sold to settle, to satisfy debts and so forth. So I guess the short answer to you is that you could enter into that agreement, but it would be mostly a handshake agreement. Quite likely not enforceable if push came to shove down the road.
And as I sit here and think about what I just said a few minutes ago, he probably would not agree to a $1,000 resale back.
No,
'Cause if
I
he
wouldn't
start-
expect it to be
Because if he starts
$1,000s.
working on it, trying to improve
Right.
it, and it's in the middle of the ship, he decides to get rid of it, he obviously gonna want some of his money back that he
Right.
put into it, so,
I just wouldn't want it to get to the point where it's fixed up and then
yeah.
selling for
And at the
$100,000.
same time, you've got to face reality of how many people really wanted this truck.
That's why I asked
Is
about
that
the
one?
upset bid.
I think as long as it's made available to us in those occasions that we all want this to go to a good home, and I guess we don't want to be taken advantage of. We don't want to sell this for $1,000, have these great expectations, and then all of a sudden 2 years from now it's sold for $100,000. I don't even know if that's possible for this type of truck. So that at the end of the day, those are my concerns.
So being an old antique as it is, I'm quite sure within the realm of it all, there's some antique restorer out there somewhere that would be gladly give you more than $1,000 for that truck, if they knew it was available. So, but,
So what is your recommendation?
well, you know what my recommendation was, I didn't want to sell it to
Louise,
start with.
excuse me.
I think we need to let people in the neighborhood know about a large vehicle like that being
Yeah.
housed, because it's a residential neighborhood.
Well, you said it would fit inside the building, correct? So how does that?
Chief, Fire Chief, I'm sorry,
Joanna,
Fire Chief,
Joanna.
will that truck fit in his building completely?
The whole back part
I
of
mean, you
that
know
is
where the building
garage,
is, you know where the building is.
and the whole back
Do you think
part
it'll
is
fit in
garage.
there? Okay. I don't want it sitting out nowhere.
So, council, would someone like to make a motion of how to proceed with this?
Well, how about we rewrite it up and let Larry take another look at it, and then we can bring it back?
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Whoa, let me take another look at it.
No, Larry Cockrell.
Oh, okay, I think you said, don't put it all on me.
Louise, make a motion.
Sorry
So
about
moved.
that.
Okay,
So we're gonna table this until,
we'll table it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is
Mayor,
Uh-huh.
I do believe the expert witness has arrived.
Okay, for,
Okay, great.
Okay.
In that case, we'll go back to the special use permit. And I would like for our attorney, if you don't mind, review those rules again for quasi judicial hearing, so that everybody will know if they can speak, what to speak, and so forth and so on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and I will be brief, and this is for the benefit. I know that we have provided some outlines and summaries of quasi-judicial hearings by local governments like towns to members of the council, but this is for the benefit of the participants and members of the public generally, in this case as well. The hearing the council is going to conduct on the special use permit application is referred to in the general statutes now as an evidentiary hearing, not just a regular conventional public hearing where folks have the right to speak their piece to their officers. This is more like a trial. The proceeding is called quasi-judicial or court-like. Sometimes we just use the abbreviation QJ, but it's very different from the typical public hearing at town hall. And it is structured like a trial in a court of law, and the members of the council, in receiving the evidence and hearing the statements and arguments that are made on the issue in dispute, will be acting as judges and jurors. They will be acting to hear and receive evidence and determine facts from that evidence, apply them to the laws that are applicable to the facts, and in their decision, they will determine whether, in this case, the applicant has the property rights to proceed with the use of the property that they are proposing. This is subject to due process of law standards because it is a quasi-judicial process. And I won't go through all the legal requirements, but much like a court of law, the parties have a right to legal counsel. Testimony is given by witnesses who have to be sworn or affirmed before they may speak. Right to cross-examine parties. Notice of the hearing is required by statute in certain ways to go out, so folks are notified of the proceeding. There have to be some rules of procedure, and the council does have some rules of procedure in these things. As the members of the council are triers of fact and they're determining the legal rights of the parties have the right to a fair and impartial hearing, and that means that no member of the council may have an impermissible conflict of interest or have any interest whatsoever in the parties or the stakes involved or in any of the witnesses appearing. They also may not have any kind of communication off the record about this case. It's called ex-party communications. They should rely, the council is required to make their decision based only on the evidence that is presented and what they hear at the evidentiary hearing tonight. So it's, again, as I think it's probably clear, it's pretty much like a court of law. The North Carolina legislature has imposed this requirement. Well, the courts of our state and the legislature have indicated that towns and cities have to respect these procedural requirements. They are challenging. They would be challenging to lawyers and judges, and council members. We're not all lawyers and judges, so in this case, I think we would all ask that everyone bear with us and accept the fact that this may seem like a lot of tedious formality is being imposed on you, but it's required by the state statutes and by the court decisions in the state, and it's in everyone's interest, the applicant for, in this case, special use permit, as well as anyone who may be opposed to what is being presented and applied for, to have a procedure correct hearing and one that would stand up on any judicial appeal. Decisions on this type of matter are appealable to the Superior Court, Johnston County. They are heard, the appeals are heard by judges, and lawyers make their cases, so the legal details matter. And that's why the council is doing their level best to have a clean and sound proceeding, and have a good record. The law requires that records be kept of the proceedings. So there will be, minutes kept, and any appeal is what we call on the record. An appeal is based on there being an error in law, claim of an error in law, or if the decision of the council is not supported by substantial, competent, and material evidence. That's the way the reviewing court would look at. So that's just a brief synopsis of the process. I think the planning director may mention the rules and the actual order presenting the case, but that sets the groundwork for what this hearing is all about and the conditions and requirements that everyone who speaks is going to be subject to here.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to go into this quasi-judicial hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, with the, okay,
Sherry, would you mind
Yeah.
explaining to everybody what this case is all about?
Good evening, everyone. So as you know, this is a continuation of a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing from the November 1st and November 15th meeting. So Dustin Faithful, he's the owner of the property located off of North Clarendon Drive, and he is requesting to construct 4 two-family residential homes on a total acres of 3.22. And the PIN number for that property is 3810-0629-7279 of the town of Nashville, and is zone R10 medium density residential. And also in the application for a special use permit, as stated before, it requires an evidentiary hearing by the town council acting as a quasi-judicial board. And just to give you background, so the property, the 3.22 acres have been subdivided into 5 lots. Only 4 lots will be used. And so in that area, the petition property is located within the existing wooded area. And the closest existing and proposed residential uses are the nearby properties located across the street, which are currently, I believe some may be still under construction. And there are duplexes. And across the street, there are 3 duplexes. And also, in granting or denying a special use permit, the council should make the following findings of fact. 1, the use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed and developed according to the plan as submitted and approved. 2, the use meets all the required conditions and specifications. 3, the use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property, or that the use is a public necessity. And 4, the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan as submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is located and in general conformity with the plan of development for the town. The town council may require additional conditions to ensure that the use will be in harmony with the surrounding area and in keeping with the spirit and the intent of the land use ordinance. A decision to deny must state the reasons for denial. The decision must be based on testimony and evidence given at the public hearing and the above finding of fact. Not all 4 findings need to be met to deny a special use permit request. And according to section 18-11, regulations for special uses, which is on page 16 in your packet. So these are the regulations that are required for 2-family dwellings. So A, it has to be approved by town council, which we're here tonight for this request. The special use districts are R10, R6M, and R6, in which in this case is R10, and so the petition property is located within the R10 zoning district. C, the minimum lot area for R10 is 12,000 square feet, and so the minimum lot area of each of the 4 lots are over 12,000 square feet per site plan. Parking, there should be a minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces for each unit, and according to the site plan, the minimum 2 off-street parking spaces are shown. Also, other requirements, consideration shall be given to whether the proposed use shall threaten the integrity of the area in question. The proposed use will be in harmony with the residential uses across the street of the petitioned property. And some of staff notes, the completed special use application was submitted to the planning department on September 27, 2022. Letters of the public hearing notification was mailed out. The first letter was mailed out on 10/20/22 for the November 1st meeting. A second letter was mailed out on November 18th. November 18th, no, November 8th for November 15th meeting, and November 21st for tonight's meeting. The public hearing was published for 2 consecutive weeks in the Nashville Graphic on 10/20 and 10/27 prior to the November 1st Town Council meeting. The property was posted with a public hearing sign on 10/20/2022. The subject property is approximately plus or minus 3.22 acres. The subject property is not located within a special flood hazard zone. The subject property is not located within an NCDEQ water supply watershed. And also, technical review committee, they met on October 20th. And the items that you have there is listed on page 17, and they provided all the responses as satisfied by the planning department. And we do have the applicant present here tonight.
Okay. And I need to swear those in that wish to speak. Mr., you're gonna speak, I can swear them all at one time, is that? Right? Okay. All those that, are gonna speak, could you please come forward concerning this? And
so, just so I understand, I'm gonna have my 2 witnesses here.
Yeah,
in case they, okay, you guys wanna come up in case you want to speak? I mean, I guess you have to be sworn in case the question. Is that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is that
If
correct?
they're going to be presenting.
Yes, that's testimony, that's evidence.
People
yes.
speak.
The people that have the evidence, yeah, exactly.
That's,
Okay, come on.
Sorry.
I'm just, and raise your, hand.
You got one more.
Okay, I'll get you all at one time. Raise your right hand, please. Or whichever. Is that rude? Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thanks. Okay, Mr. Faithful.
So thank you guys, Mayor, Town Council, for having us here and looking at my special use permit. I'm basically looking to build 4 duplexes, a larger size than the ones that I've already built. We built 2-bedroom duplexes across the street. I've used like level 5 courts in the duplexes. We put live edge bar tops in them, made out of wood that we've cut ourselves, and we've actually sawn it ourselves. But we have oak treads in these houses. They're very nice inside. I'm looking to build like a higher end rental property for Nashville. And as a matter of fact, the banks that's helped me finance the properties, they gave me a call, and I've told the town this, that they said, Dustin, we get so many phone calls about these duplexes that we need to take our sign down because people think that we own the property and want to rent them. And I can't tell you how many people that have wanted to come in, but they're not quite finished yet. We got to get the water and sewer to them. And after that, I'm going to do some nice landscaping. But I'm here tonight to ask for the town to approve a special use permit for a diagonal across the street, not directly across the street. I'll have the land directly across the street as well, but it's kind of low. And so looking for the town to approve the special use permit because I want to build a little bit larger floor plan because you have more room to do that. And just out of the demand for housing. So is there any questions I could answer about the plans for the duplexes?
I have a question about overflow parking.
Of parking. So, you know, I've got more room across the street there at the proposed site. We've talked, we met with the DOT, and we went from 4 driveways down to 2 to eliminate the number of driveways on the road. And, you know, we actually kind of talked about potentially parking around back or the side for more room. So I feel like it's going to be much more room. Well, as a matter of fact, it is going to be much more room across the street there because it's just a much deeper lot. You know, the existing duplex that built, it's like almost like a capital T, but in this case, you can actually, I believe, go around the house to the back. And it's only going to be proposed 2 driveways, 2 large driveways.
Any other questions for Mr. Faithful?
So there would be overflow parking in behind.
I wouldn't say overflow because we would park. I think there's enough room. Is there? Oh, here. Is this the? Okay. There's enough room for parking in the front, so I'm thinking we're allotting like two spaces per duplex, and Brandy, we kind of at the DOT meeting we kind of spoke about parking around the back possibly. To make it convenient for the tenants to get in. I don't know if I'm not answering your question. I don't think there's enough room on the setbacks to go around to the back of the house as well, and I can adjust that on the site plan to make sure there's enough room. You know, I want to make sure somebody can back up and fully turn around and pull out straight, directly on the roadway.
Would the lots be, would the structures be far enough apart where you can go around, say, one apartment and not get onto the lot of the other one?
So
is there enough room there?
Yeah, this site plan is I kind of made the size of the house the maximum 40 by 40, and you know the existing ones we built are about 35 by 30. And I did that in case we kind of you know how plans always change as far as like, you know, the floor plans and everything for homes. So I believe that we could scale back that home site a little bit and make it deeper so you have plenty of room to go around. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I have a concern, I think, like Ms. Hinton's talking about overflow parking. That street is not conducive enough, because if anybody has a party or something over there, there's not enough room on that street for people to be parking all up and down the streets.
Oh, right. Yes, sir.
So my question is 4 lots here, but you're not using but 3 of them.
I'm using 4.
You using all 4?
But I do have.
I mean, 4 out of 5 lots.
Sorry, yes, sir.
Okay, so there's 1 lot left over.
Yes, sir.
Would you consider smoothing that out and leveling it off for overflow parking for the, and tell the people that rent or move into these places that no on-street, where if we put up no street parking, that they could use that and have a place to park?
That's extremely feasible because there's lots of room. There's a lot of room over there, especially for those last 2. If you could zoom out some, yeah. All pretty much from. This corner here, from this mouse point here all the way down to Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
And this some areas that I could probably flatten out there.
Okay. Because I would be totally against us not making that a non-on-street parking type situation.
Yes, sir.
Especially if these are larger units that might accommodate a family where all of a sudden you have 3 cars instead of 2
You got
cars.
2, that's right. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, my concern is definitely parking as well. I was wondering, those are mailboxes, right? The 4 little red
Are you
points
using rule
between.
boxes or cluster boxes?
Oh, okay.
What is that?
We also spoke about this with the DOT about a plan on the mailboxes. I really, is it, we make a note on there of that? You see any note? Is that the mailboxes there? Yeah. Okay. Is that what that is? Okay. So yeah, that's apparently that's the mailboxes. I wasn't sure, to be honest with you.
Rule type mailboxes?
Yes.
Then you could be kiosk type or regular type, I mean.
Well, I was just wondering if maybe 4 different additional parking spaces could be found if you added parking in front of those.
Potentially.
Yeah, I mean, we could rearrange the mailboxes. And, you're saying like parking around the side there more?
No, so you have the 4 spots, and then you have a break, and then you have 4 spots again. So if you just continued spots in front of the mailboxes, because I don't think it's gonna be, where you drive up and you can
Right.
do it from your window.
Right.
So you would walk to your mailbox, get what
Oh.
you needed.
Yeah, 12
Right. Yeah, you could do, I mean, we could,
Obviously, the mail carrier needs to get in, but,
The mailbox can be moved.
okay.
Okay.
Any other questions for Ms.
I have one, Mayor.
Okay.
I was noticing here, Justin, it was talking about, that the applicant would be willing to, have some additional street lighting, because that is a very dark road there, so that's been talked about, and what are your plans related to that?
so, we spoke with Randy about that, and, I mean, I've got, I got a lot of access to pole and commercial, lighting, oddly enough, and I could put more lighting in the, on the site in the front yard, but I can't mess with anything on the roadway. That's all Duke, right, Randy? So we would have to, I think that, we have one parking lot, pole out front of the, single family out there, but, Randy, I think it's for an additional light, Duke Energy charges like $12 a month or something. I think you
Yeah,
mentioned.
the LED lighting that we pay for street lighting, it's like $10 a month.
Uh-huh.
And there are 3 poles out there that all the town has to do is ask Duke to put lights on them, and then it would be added to our monthly bill on the street lighting.
Other than that, all I can offer on our side is putting like a post top light, 6 to 8 foot tall in front of each duplex, if it helps. Somewhere, where it looks good, I guess. But it wouldn't offer roadway lighting, But I agree with you.
So the house that is on North Clarendon right now, we do have a street light on the utility pole in front of the house. It's right here.
Yep.
And there are utility poles further down and further up, 2 more that we can put street lights on. So that whole section of North Clarendon should have sufficient street lighting then.
It would definitely make it look less cove-like.
Right.
Any other questions for Mr. Faithful? And your witness
Oh, yeah,
that would like to talk to the issue?
so, Cindy, you want to mention anything about, like, I guess the value, in the area, like,
Whereas, does she need to state her qualifications so you and the mayor can confirm
I'm
she is an
Cin-
expert?
Cindy Smith with Coldwell Banker, Watson Properties here in Rocky Mount. Been in the business since 1998. And I just feel like, with the older 1960 brick ranches, these upscale, nice duplexes are going to just be add a lot of charm to Nashville. There's not a lot of upscale rentals and lease options. More and more with the shortage of homes in the area, we're finding more that we need more rentals for people coming in. So, and of course with the higher interest rates that everybody knows is going on right now, people are more inclined to take a year lease or something. But it really would add a lot, those older brick ranches, and they're nice, and people have taken care of their homes, but I just think these will be more upscale, the quartz countertops, they put the Hearthstone countertops. It's Hearthstone Builders though, Hearthstone in the house, so super nice upscale area.
So you're
would
saying
make
that
it-
it would increase the value of the adjoining or abutting property, not decrease?
I do feel like it would, and add a lot to Nashville. Great location, everybody knows, you can just get around to shopping, and, I just think it would be an asset, and then people that are, commuting back and forth to RDU, working in Raleigh, they can hit 64 and head on in, so,
All of these are said to be rental properties, is that correct?
yes, they will be leased.
Price range?
Upscale lease. We've talked about anywhere from 1,300 to 1,500 a month, so, and which it would, as a norm, would sound like a lot, but that's really what the market is projecting right now.
Are these 2 or 3
With what they're
bedrooms?
offering.
2 or 3 bedrooms for these?
These will,
The one proposing is 3.
Okay.
these will be threes.
Well, they'll keep the riffraff out.
Thank you so very kindly. And who else was sworn in to speak?
I think Wyatt,
Wyatt?
is that Wyatt?
Well, we still haven't hit the burdens of the applicant. Do we have to?
Yeah, where is that? Who's gonna speak?
I'm satisfied with it myself. We'll talk, let Wyatt come.
Kate, is there
So
something you-
I'm just thinking this first one, the use will not materially endanger or the public health or safety if located where proposed or developed in according with the plan submitted or approved. I know you had done a traffic study previously for your other properties. So I guess if there was any information you could give on that, or?
Yeah. Well, Appian Engineering did our traffic study, and, pull this up here, excuse me. So, unfortunately, Mr. Bobby Joyner is, he's not able to be here tonight. But, I did a traffic study, and he said that the traffic study, adding 4 duplexes with 2 drives plus the 3 previously added duplexes on the other side of the road would increase the ADT by a total of approximately 140 vehicles per day. A minor increase in daily traffic. He concluded with consequently adding 4 duplexes with 2 driveways will not have an impact that would cause congestion. If there's any other specific questions on that tonight, that's why I brought Joyner Keeney, our civil engineer. But essentially, Appian Engineering said these four duplexes, they're not going to have an impact on traffic and cause congestion.
That was my recollection. I apologize. I thought he was testifying as to that.
Sorry, I'm back. I'm trying to,
I mean, I'm just here for I did the math,
Okay,
not the.
yeah.
okay.
I hope I'm not getting out of order here. I just want to,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's everyone that you have.
Yeah.
Wyatt?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm speaking tonight as a retired land use environmental planner, 30 years experience, a former member of the American Institute of Certified Planners, and also a member of the one of the first certified floodplain managers in eastern North Carolina. I'm also a member of the town's tree board. First, I'd like to share a little bit about the character of the site. The southern end of the property where Lot 1 is proposed is the high end of the site. And you're naturally going to have some drainage coming off of that onto Clarendon Drive in Lot 1 just due to the topography of that lot. But as you go further to the north, the property essentially becomes a drainage swale once you get into the lots 3 and 4 and going on into Lot 5. Flows all the way down toward Eastern Avenue, in which time there is a pond located, a small pond located in that area, in a very wet area. I've observed on numerous occasions during rainy events that there's a lot of water, particularly on Lot 5.
The wooded nature of the property also is significant in that those trees, when you have a rain event, just the surface area of those trees capture a lot of that, of the rain and help to minimize the runoff potential there. And the site is also, it's basically almost 100% pervious, meaning that it's not covered in asphalt or concrete or rock outcropping, that kind of thing, so that the site is able to absorb rainwater into the site. Whenever you have development, obviously, you're going to create impervious surfaces where the water is not able to flow into the ground, and increase in runoff as a result. So I'd like to address or talk about a little bit about the potential impact on Clarendon Drive. So some of my concerns are, in general, as a member of the tree board, about the loss of tree canopy in Nashville in general, and the negative environmental impacts that result as a result of that in general. But focusing more on this site, I'm concerned that the drainage from the proposed parking areas, as the site plan I think that they've submitted is commendable, but there's no condition, explicit condition that I've seen in any of the information that would require them to develop the property according to the site plan. So that would be a condition that I would recommend that you consider. In addition, I'm concerned about that it's not explicit in terms of where the drainage from these parking areas will go. Right now, as I mentioned earlier, the natural drainage of the site is flowing to the north on this property itself, not down Clarendon Drive. And if there are no conditions, or if it's not explicit here, all that drainage from this development could be flowing onto Clarendon Drive. And I'm concerned about with this, and then also if, I don't know what the plans are for Lot 5, but if Lot 5 were ever developed, or if this was developed more intensively than proposed here, of the impact of that additional runoff on Clarendon Drive. I would not want, as someone who frequents Clarendon Drive regularly, that is a strip paved street. There's no curb and gutter. There's no underground drainage system there. So I'm concerned about the potential for increased runoff impacting Clarendon Drive, having a negative impact on it. So if the parking areas were designed to maintain the existing drainage pattern so that flow from those parking areas was to continue northward on the property as it currently is, and not be allowed to a significant portion to flow into Clarendon Drive, that would alleviate my concerns. And as was mentioned by staff, this is not a use by right. This is a special use. So as in the ordinance, it talks about the council can add conditions to help ensure that the proposed development is harmonious with the surrounding area and will not materially endanger the public health or safety. And the continued use of Clarendon Drive without drainage issues there is an issue of public health and safety, I would argue. I would like to commend the developer on some aspects of the development that they're looking to develop the highest portion of the property, the best portion for development there on the high side with the lots 1, 2, and 3 in particular, and that they've designed their parking areas so that the vehicles will not need to back onto Clarendon Drive. That would be a major concern if they hadn't done that. And also the shared driveways, the benefits were already mentioned of that, but without an explicit condition that this site plan be followed, I'm concerned that, whether or not that will actually take place. Some conditions that I've alluded to, I'd like to, I guess, more explicitly suggest would be that lots 1 through 4 be developed in accordance with the submitted site plan, or if it needs to be modified a little bit, the final agreed to site plan, which essentially would be like this here, essentially. Let's see, I'm sorry. including the shared driveways, that being, included in that. The second thing would be that the additional runoff, which will result from the parking areas on lots 1 through 4, be directed to remain on the site, as I previously mentioned, in order to maintain the existing drainage pattern of the area and protect Clarendon Drive from an increased chance of localized street flooding during significant rainfall events. To address the concern about loss of tree canopy, and being that there's a significant area on the lots that aren't necessary for this development, it would be advisable in terms of protecting the town's tree canopy if the applicant would agree to some maintenance of existing tree canopy if possible. I would suggest like 25% of those lots, existing tree canopy be maintained. And then the last thing I had on here was concern about the future development of Lot 5, and since that is a portion of this this proposal, even though the applicant's not showing any development on there, it seems as though the intent is that be maintained. And so I would recommend that the existing drainage and water storage capacity of Lot 5 be protected by maintaining the existing topography and natural wooded condition of Lot 5. So those are my my observations and suggestions for your consideration.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Which,
So, just addressing some of your concerns, I'm a tree person too. I love trees. As a matter of fact, when we cleared it slightly, we just cleared the underbrush, and I want to keep as many large trees as possible. Especially Clayton Homes is behind us. I don't really want to see Clayton Homes. Be glad they're a big business here in Nashville, but that's not what you want to look out and see. So I intend to keep at least half of all the trees, because like I said, it's a very deep lot. And so I want to keep as much tree brush as possible behind the lots, so you don't see Clayton Homes. And then you got the whole other half of the property towards Eastern. I intend on keeping that wooded as well, unless I develop little parking spots, like you mentioned, for overflow, which I think is a good idea, especially for the far right duplexes on the eastern side. On the water runoff, we could use a rock instead of asphalt or pavement, because it'll be more pervious for runoff and rainwater. Let's see. I could also agree to putting in the specs of the home's gutters to help deviate, or deter water to go a certain direction, probably down towards the low area of the property. Am I missing any main points on?
I think you covered them.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any questions, council? If not, the manager has recommended to approve Dustin Faithful's request for a special use permit of SU 2022-02 to construct 4 two-family residential dwellings along North Clarendon Drive per requirements of sections 18-109, 18-110, and 18-111 of the Nashville Land Use Ordinance. Do I hear a motion?
Mayor, based on the comments that Mr. Faithful just offered in response to the questions that was brought up, I move that we approve his request.
Can you make it conditional? Just upon, so One of the things is the wooded lot to retain as many trees, existing trees as possible. And since this is a wooded lot, just to maintain the feel of that, to have street trees that obviously don't obstruct the view of any entrance or exit from the driveways, but to have street trees. And then conditioned upon lots 1 through 4 being developed according to the site plan provided, and then conditioned upon the runoff being directed to remain on-site or to just at least be taken away from Clarendon Road.
That to be included.
Okay.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, it is approved. Thank you very much, Dustin and council. The next item on our agenda is Nashville Junction Parking Lot and Stage Project. Randy?
Mayor and Council, I'm gonna turn that over to the town engineer, Kevin Stocks.
Okay.
I'm Kevin Barnell with Stocks Engineering,
Whoa, change his name, Kevin Stocks.
taking shortcuts.
Randy calls my name and I clear the room.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
I think Randy included a map with
Yes.
the cancel packets when they went out. So this is the map that is, I guess, the latest version that came from Michael Hurt with trying to save as many trees on the site as we could, trying to also, I guess, increase the green area that we have kind of in front of the amphitheater and meet all the requirements that are needed kind of for parking and things like that. So this is the final rendition between, I guess, the town staff and the developer on what we think the parking lot would look like and to serve. So I'll be happy to answer any specific questions you have. The only things that jump out special to me would be the developer had asked for the brick column fence to go around the site and then a gate on the 2 driveways. So we kept that, and right now we've got that in the budget, or the cost estimate we provided. However, we do not have the money to install that fence at this point. So that would be something that would come at a later date. Or we could bid the project out with that as an alternate, and then if we had the money, we could include it or we could take it out. So those are the only things that were kind of special, that were new this time, that I wasn't aware had ever really been discussed with you guys, would be the brick column fence and the gates at the driveways.
Who would be in control of the opening and closing of the gates? Would Hurt have the key, or would the town have the key?
I don't know that that discussion has been had at this point, so, again.
I mean, do we have to go try to find somebody?
I would,
who would use the parking
I
lot?
would believe there would be a way for both of you to open the gate if you had to put 2 locks on it.
There's an entry on Cross Street,
Yes, ma'am.
and on the previous map, there was no entry.
Correct.
Okay, so we have one way in and another way out.
Both entrances will be in and out, 2-way.
Right.
But yes, there are now 2 ways in and out of the parking lot.
Which I think is recommended for
Right.
traffic safety.
Exactly. That was the problem with the other map. My concern is that very close to Ms. Matthews' property.
Yes. However, it meets DOT's requirements of being away from the intersection. So there's a balance between what DOT would request as far as traffic control and not being close to the intersection and how much property we actually have. So we could slide it a little bit closer, but we would be talking 10, 20 feet, not a significant amount.
The vegetation buffer would go all the way out to the street, wouldn't it?
There is. So right now, there is a gap of vegetation that we can plant, do whatever. There is a space there in between the sidewalk and the property line that we could do any kind of buffering we would like.
How large is that buffer, did you say?
That area is roughly, my eyes are not good, 10 feet is that dash line that's going down that side. And then in that area, the sidewalk does get a little tight in one location, but other than that, there is a 10-foot area kind of reserved for that.
Okay.
So there's a sidewalk on both sides of the,
There's a sidewalk that goes, I guess the sidewalk goes all the way down Cross Street, goes to the intersection and turns and comes up Barnes Street. it also circles the entire parking lot. So the sidewalk goes, I guess, all the way through. So there essentially is a circle of sidewalk all the way around the parking lot.
Any other questions?
Is there a retention pond?
There will have to be some version of that. I don't show it on the map. Ultimately, it's going to go behind the existing shelters and in between, I guess, the berm and the shelters that are there now would be really the only location that we could do it without going underground. But we will have to do something to hold back some stormwater.
And can you just show me on this map what trees are staying and what trees are going?
So all the trees that are shown in the grass area are staying.
Okay.
And if we can scroll up the map, there are a handful of pine trees, those 3 right there,
Okay.
that will be removed.
Great.
And I believe that is it. The rest of them we were able to work around and keep.
Perfect.
And those may be cedar trees, if I remember right.
And there is no rendering of how this stage is gonna
Pavilion.
look.
Not at this point. Right now, we're showing a box,
This $60,000
and,
stage.
and we don't have a whole lot to go on at this point on the stage. So as we kind of move forward, you know, we can talk in more detail about what the stage is gonna look like and how big we want it to be and those types of things.
And the money in there for soundproofing is for the pavilion,
For the pavilion, the stage, or the adjacent buffer, whichever one we wanted to do. We
Whatever
talked
works
about it at
best.
some point.
Okay.
It's really an allowance, a line item that we can use for whatever we wanted to do as far as
Okay.
that sound goes.
Randy?
On the screen is what Red Oak built on their Enos Park this year for a performing stage. It's small yet attractive. It doesn't have any sides on it, as you can see. But the price is $135,000 what they paid for it. I showed this to Kevin earlier today, and it's a possibility.
Right now, it looks like we've got 40,000 of a budget.
With what we've showed right now, yes. But, like I said, my thought was we would take the brick column, the fence and that stuff out of it at this point, and that would bring us below the budget. So that one with the contingencies and all the stuff, if you add them together, takes us outside the budget.
I noticed the parking lot is asphalt,
It is, yes, ma'am.
82,000,
Yes,
not slurry.
that's correct. It's asphalt.
And with a $120,000 stage, that's gonna blow it completely out of the water.
Well, that's my concern. So we have all these sidewalks, which I love. I think it's great, and I think it gives access from every direction. But yeah, as far as the iron fencing, that's an add-on, and then the extent of these sidewalks, I think, is an add-on as well. I'd love to nail down what our actual obligations are under this agreement, which are the parking lot and the pavilion, because I don't want us to pay for this beautiful, amazing, wonderful thing and then say, oh, and we only have 60,000 for this pavilion and need 125,000. So that's my concern.
My concern is we're using slurry on some of our most often used streets in Nashville. But somehow we managed to spend 82,000 in asphalt for parking lot.
Any other questions or comments?
Would that slurry hold up on the parking lot?
So the answer is no. So the slurry is only about 1/4 of an inch thick. So you have to have something underneath it.
Another base
Asphalt
It's really a
base
topping you
first,
put on
and
top.
then top of
Now,
the slurry.
we could do a stone parking lot. We certainly don't have to put an asphalt parking lot, but we could do a
I
stone
think a
parking lot.
stone
And then,
is gonna kick up so much dust, it's gonna be noisy,
Well, yeah.
and that'll be
Exactly.
increasing our problems with our neighbor.
right. But we, like I said, 2 inches of asphalt is the minimum we can put down in this location. So that's what we have shown. So
Do I hear a motion to approve the design plans for the Nashville Junction parking lot and stage to move forward?
So, can we approve moving forward with the bidding process based on this drawing to find out where we are. Like, if we can fit all of this in within budget and the bids come in below, and it's a wonderful surprise and we can do it all within budget, then fantastic. But if the bids come in at this amount or higher, we're going to need to play around with the sidewalk situation and the fencing situation in order to fulfill at least our end of the bargain.
So the way we would bid the project would be in a unit price form. So ultimately, we could take out whatever we would like to through the project to meet the budget. But what I would suggest is approving the sketch if we like the sketch, and let's move forward with the design. But then that also will let us move forward with the stage as well, trying to get a lot more of those pieces and parts together for you guys to look at. And once we know, right now, the picture that we show from Enos Park is roughly a 25-foot tall stage. It's a really, really nice structure. I don't know that that's what we're looking for here. I think that would be really big for this location. So part of it is that's $135,000 and it's super nice. I just don't know that that's the size and scale that we want here.
So what you're saying is get the bid and then let us go from there.
Well, I
and
think
see
let's move forward with the design.
the design, that's what I mean.
And then, in the same time, then we can kind of move forward with working on a building, you know, what that stage is going to look like and getting those pieces together. And then that'll help us understand what the price really would be for that stage aspect of it. And now we'll know if the $60,000 line item that we have here is enough or if we need more. And then, like I said, in the same time frame, we're still working through the design, the permitting, and we'll be ready to bid it out about the same time we have a building kind of set up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think all those pieces have come together at one time. So right now, I think it's just, are we okay with the layout, the parking lot, that type of thing? And then we can bid out all the pieces and parts of it. And if we want to take off sidewalks, or we want to take off the brick column fence or gates, those are things that there will be additional in the contract that we can easily pull out. But at the same time, we'll have the numbers and we'll also have what the stage will look like around the same time frame.
So just to confirm with our attorneys, if we approve this design, we're not locked into this design.
Correct.
Okay.
That order of things would be perfectly
Okay.
lawful.
And ultimately, it's just really for me and Randy to know you guys have seen it and you're okay with it. We can certainly make tweaks, changes, and things like that. It's just, we want to make sure everyone's on board with what we've got.
I think it looks great.
So, Larry made the motion?
I didn't make
Move
the
to
motion.
approve.
Lynn made the motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, a motion carries. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the Town Council's 2023 meeting schedule, adoption of the 23 and 24 NC state holiday schedules. After looking at that, do you have any questions reviewing that? If not, do I hear a motion that we approve these schedules?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is our Planning and Development Director and talking about our boards. Sherry?
All right, I'm back again. So I'm gonna, no, it lists, more than my boards, but I'm just gonna do my part. So for, the planning board, we have 3 members whose term has expired and they, no longer wish to continue to serve, and that is Jade Mantell, Betty Lowe, and Al Edwards. So Jade Mantell, when she came in, she took, I believe it was Patsy McGee's term. She filled her seat, and so she served for a year. Betty Lowe, she came in from 1990 to 2022, so she served on the planning board for 32 years. Al Edwards, so he was on both the planning board and board of adjustment. So his planning board, he served 16 years from 2006 to 2022, and on the board of adjustments, he served from 2016 through 2021, somewhere along there. So resolutions will be prepared and presented at the next council meeting, I guess in January. And so therefore now we have vacant seats. Those seats, we have 3 vacancies on the planning board and 2 vacancies for the board of adjustment. And also planning staff is now preparing have an idea or a situation that may work, but I will be presenting, I'm working on that proposal and I'll be presenting that to you in January along with appointments. And now for Downtown Nashville Strong, we have Cindy Shipers, Amy Beasley, Donna Wood, and Luke Whitehead. So they're coming up for reappointment, and their reappointments will expire December 31st, 2025. And in addition to that, when I came before to weed out the last ones, we have 3 board members whose term will be expiring on June 30th, 2023. So I'm asking for recommendation of extending those to December so they can be on the same schedule as everybody else. And that's all that I have.
Okay, thank you. Corey? Corey, there he is, I see him.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So for the Parks, Rec, and Cultural Resources Advisory Board, we have 2 members that their term expires this year. One is Jacqueline Rogers. She served 1 2-year term with us, and we are requesting reappointment for another 2-year term. The other is Mary Richardson, and we hate to lose her, but she has served 2 2-year terms, and according to our bylaws, is not eligible to serve another one without taking a break first. We are requesting appointment of Kiana Walston. Kiana is a Nashville resident. Her son participates in our karate program. We see her at a lot of our special events, so she attends a lot of our stuff. She works in local government and is very familiar with the workings of local government. She was not able to be here tonight, so if you did want to meet her, I do understand if you want to postpone until January. And then as far as our tree board, we have 3 members that their first 2-year term is up at the end of December. Those are Wyatt McGee, Donald Street, and Victoria Frazier. We are requesting reappointment for Wyatt McGee and Donald Street at this time. We are waiting on a reply from Ms. Frazier if she is interested in serving another term.
Thank you. And then library.
All right, good evening. We currently have 2 vacant positions on the Library Advisory Board. We've actually had 2 individuals apply for the advisory board. I'm currently trying to go through the bylaws that my predecessor had put in place. I don't know if the council had actually approved extending the terms of the Library Advisory Board members. So I'm kind of working through all of that so that I'll be able to also come back in January with more detailed information. So currently, other than the 2 vacancies, we have Chrysola Ham on the Library Advisory Board, Holly Whistler, Kristen Bass, Marsha Richardson, and Antoinette Williams, as well as Larry Taylor as our council member liaison. So I will be back in January for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to approve the requested reappointments and extended terms of the board members that were listed and discussed tonight?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is, Corey, the review proposal for contractors to repair water infiltration issues at the Harry D. Cooley Library and award a contract for the work.
So, as you know, we've had issues with water getting into the library for an extended period of time. The main area is the children's room on the back, and here in council chambers along the west wall. The agenda report says east. That's my error. It's been ongoing, and we've tried a couple issues to fix that. We have less water coming in than we did. However, we have not been able to fully fix that problem. Chris Acock, the town's facilities maintenance tech, has met with several companies that specialize in basement and crawl space foundation repairs, and we believe we have a solution to our problem. which is installing what is essentially a gutter along the wall in both areas that would channel the water to a pump and then pump it out of the building. There are 3 companies that have submitted quotes to complete this work. Those quotes range from $11,744 up to $19,710, with the lowest being Tar Heel Basement Systems. Since we submitted those to you, Tar Heel Basement Systems, their parent company, Groundworks, does have a 15% discount promotion going on right now, which would reduce that total by $1,746, bringing the total for that quote to $9,997. If you have any questions on that work, I'd be glad to answer them. Also, Chris is here if you have any questions for him.
What kind of background does Tar Heel have in doing this type work?
Top notch.
Top notch?
Yes, they're out of Fuquay-Varina. They informed us that they're willing to stand behind their work for the life of the building. So they are very confident that this will fix our issue with the water coming in.
So it's a guarantee.
It's guaranteed.
I'll move forward with it.
Is there a second? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Town manager, the noise ordinance amendment, did you want us to table that until our attorney looked at that? You said he had some concerns. Was this the one?
Well, we can have some general discussion
Okay,
about it right now.
okay, Chief Winston.
The chief was looking to make changes to the ordinance to make it a little easier for the officers to actually enforce.
We've looked at several different municipalities, large and small, and took good things from all of them and tried to make it into ours to make it a little bit better. Since then, tonight, I was told that the attorney needs to look into it a little bit more, to look at some of the stipulations that we may have in there and tweak them a little bit so they're more suitable for our needs.
So we just need to take it and review it and look at it, and then we'll come up with something more concrete after you look at it. Is that my
If that
understanding?
works for the council, Mayor, the concept was fine. We just looked at it, Emily and I looked at it this week, and there are a few wording suggestions we would make and a few ordinance provisions. It imposes criminal penalties, which is required by state statute now to be officially ordained by the council in order to have these types of local ordinance requirements subject to criminal penalties. So that's part of the reason this is before you, is to make it legal under the new law to have them enforceable by criminal misdemeanor determinations. But there's just, again, there's some technical things, and we thought it might be best if we had a conversation with Chief about it and with the manager and bring to you a clean version rather than
my version.
I have one, sorry, I have one suggestion just in the beginning of this, because you addressed enforcement, but I know we've had an issue with people misreading this, thinking that it only applies to the hours between 10 and 7 in the morning. So the very beginning of it, in B, where it talks about certain acts and sounds deemed unlawful, I would like to put in regardless of the hour of day. And then later on, when it says intensity and duration as to be detrimental to the life or health of any individual, and I would add, or detrimental to the quiet enjoyment of one's property is prohibited, just to make it clear that this is not just between those sleeping hours, that there are certain noises and certain things that can bother anybody to enjoy from enjoying their property at any time of day.
And private entertainment establishment, does that mean a private residence?
Yes, ma'am, like if they were having a party or something, so it could be covered as well.
That's one of the things we thought we
Tweak.
might clarify.
Maybe clean up a little bit.
Okay. And then just to add in, I think any officer, but also our code enforcement officer should be able to issue whatever warnings or, I think, right, because.
Criminal enforcement needs to be by a citation that.
So it couldn't be a
that's
warning
presented
by our
someone who's
code
a
enforcement.
sworn officer.
I think maybe Sean could do a verbal warning, but if there was gonna be some type of charge, whether it was a civil violation.
We won't
or-
even muddy the waters. We'll just keep it with law enforcement.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think we should put Sean involved in this.
Okay.
Now, cause some people can get
Right.
outrageous sometimes.
I move that we table this so our attorney, town manager, and chief can iron this out.
Perfect.
And we definitely need it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 The next item on our agenda is John O'Keefe, our finance director.
Budget Amendment 8, there is a large emergency repair needed to be done on the ladder truck. We've also experienced a greater than expected amount in interest earnings this year. So adding $27,000 to the budget for interest earnings and offsetting that with vehicle maintenance and fire department.
Is that from fund balance?
No, that is from interest earnings. So we budgeted $47,750 at the beginning of the year for interest earnings. To date, we're at 61, but we should end up the year between 150 and 200.
Okay.
And of course, that depends. We won't go below 150, but the higher end depends on how the Federal Reserve decides stuff.
Okay,
Move to approve.
do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Budget Amendment 9, Parks has gotten a lot of sponsorships and donations, and this is just catching up what they've received year to date.
Do I hear a motion that we receive these?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Budget Amendment 10, in fiscal year 2022 for police vehicles budget, there was leftover 119. This was due to the upfits on a lot of the vehicles purchased last year not being done by June 30. Got the invoices back late October for these. This is just appropriating the fund balance that was not spent last year that rolled into this year.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So BA 10 is approved.
Budget Amendment 11, again, increasing interest revenue, and got a letter from the state about unemployment insurance. We haven't paid it for several years, but with one former employee filing unemployment around April, that got us on a list for them to say, hey, you guys have to have 1% of your total payroll, and this is just getting us up to that amount.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
What line item does that come out of?
Pardon?
What line item does that come out of?
They're 10-450-5402 unemployment insurance.
Now, when you say we have a balance of 15,000,
I don't know if it's state or federal law, I apologize, but you have to have 1.5% of your total payroll there. So we have $15,000 sitting with the NC State Labor, I forget the acronym, but we have to have 23,000.
okay. So there's nothing impacting us that we had to do anything for the person who's filing unemployment where they're saying it's valid, invalid?
Yes, that decision was made it was
Okay.
$3,500 that happened, and it was taken out of that fund that, it used to be 18,000, but after that it was 15,000. That was done in April of 22.
No penalties incurred in none of this, right?
Pardon?
No penalties.
No, this is not a penalty. This is just getting us to the required level.
Okay.
Budget Amendment 12 is increasing interest revenue, and we currently lease our copier at Town Hall. I don't think that's cost effective. I think it's better to just buy it outright. So this is just adding interest revenue budget up to a higher amount and paying for the copier outright.
How much
We're
is the
paying.
copy?
It was like $3,000 a month in the physical, just the copier was like $3,000 a year.
But since we're buying new.
We're buying it. It costs about $7,400, and it should last 5 to 7 years. So we should be on the good side of that.
So this is a used copy,
No, brand new.
brand new, 7,400?
Pardon? Yeah,
74.
it was $74.12. It was on state contract.
Is there a service contract to come along with it?
Yeah, there's a $102 service contract that comes along with it.
Above and beyond this?
Yes, above and beyond this, but it's lower than what we currently have on file.
Gotcha, okay. Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor for approving budget amendment 12, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Well, I think that. Randy, do you have any other comments?
I do not, Mayor, thank you.
How about council members, any comments?
No comments tonight, Mayor?
If not, we thank you all for coming out, and if we don't see you again till January, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn, and the meeting is now adjourned.